Some state officials withheld critical information required to ensure a more complete capture of those expenditures at the time of submission of the budget estimates. However, recognizing the exigencies under the state emergency and the need to ensure fiscal credibility, the budget framework integrates expenditure information made available before the submission of the budget proposal to ratify the first quarter expenditures within a lawful and transparent structure. To appear before you this morning in furtherance of our shared responsibility in managing the affairs of Rivers State. I wish to extend my sincere appreciation to the chairman and honorable members for your dedication to fulfilling your constitutional mandate, particularly in the light of the very tight schedules of the distinguished members of this committee. We in Rivers State are most grateful for your dedication and commitment. Following the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, pursuant to Section 11, Subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, and pronouncement of the Supreme Court on Rivers State's 2025 appropriation, I was directed by Mr. President to develop a budget proposal for Rivers State. I subsequently submitted the proposal to Mr. President, which he graciously transmitted to the National Assembly for consideration. Furthermore, we received a correspondence from this distinguished committee requesting for more information on the budget proposal. I am pleased to inform the committee that we have largely compiled and transmitted the requested information on the proposed 2025 budget. Like the chairman said, I believe you all have the copies, and in order to save time, I think I'll just take on the summary of what was submitted. The proposed 2025 Rivers State government budget aligns with the strategic objectives in the Rivers State Development Plan 2017-2027. The budget presents a strategic and integrated framework designed to raise revenues and accelerate infrastructure development, enhance human capital, and promote inclusive economic growth across all sectors. We are optimistic that implementing the 2025 budget proposal will deliver great socioeconomic benefits for the people of Rivers State. While the records available to me on the 2024 budget and its actual performance remain a source of concern, a quick review of the official records for the 2024 budget shows that the total revenue of the Rivers State government was 1.04 trillion compared to a target of 800.39 billion naira. This represents 250 billion naira, or 31.6% above the budget target. On the expenditure side, official performance report shows total expenditure was 740.74 billion naira, which was 52.7 billion naira, or 6.7% less than the spending target. It is my well-considered opinion that the expenditures are clearly understated. The total revenue projected for the 2025 fiscal year is 1.4 trillion naira. As of May 2025, total revenue inflows were 597.14 billion naira, which is only about 4% less than our projection. The total expenditure planned for 2025 is 1.48 trillion naira. The proposed 2025 budget was meticulously designed to account for and regularize expenditures already undertaken during the first quarter of the fiscal year by the suspended administration before the state of emergency declaration by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Regrettably, some state officials withheld critical information required to ensure a more complete capture of those expenditures at the time of submission of the budget estimates. However, recognizing the exigencies under the state emergency and the need to ensure fiscal credibility, the budget framework integrates expenditure information made available before the submission of the budget proposal to ratify the first quarter expenditures within a lawful and transparent structure. This ensures alignment with statutory appropriation protocols while safeguarding the integrity of public finance management. Additionally, in anticipation of the eventual return to constitutional order, the draft budget prudently retains provisions for the offices and functions of suspended political actors, some of whom have already drawn unallocated resources in the first quarter and are expected to resume their duties at the expiration of the emergency period. With a record allocation of 324.51 billion naira to critical infrastructure, the administration is prioritizing completing high-impact roads, bridges, and transport networks to improve connectivity, facilitate commerce, and stimulate economic activities across rural and urban areas. This also includes 38.85 billion naira allocated for shoreline protection, land reclamation, and erosion control, supporting long-term environmental resilience and disaster mitigation efforts. In the agricultural sector, the budget aligns with Nigeria's broader food security goals through a 4.5 billion naira counterpart fund for the rural access and agricultural market projects programs to unlock about 45 billion to open up rural access to farms and markets, 10 billion naira for food security, an initiative aimed at catalyzing and scaling up of local production in rice, cassava, oil palm, maize, poultry, and coconut. There is also a provision of 3.5 billion for investment in agricultural mechanization to boost food production. These interventions are projected to generate over 16,000 direct and indirect jobs within 2 years if sustained. Health sector investments are equally substantial, including 55 billion for the relocation and expansion of the Rivers State University Teaching Hospital, 50 billion naira for zonal hospitals upgrade, and 5 billion naira for drug revolving fund to strengthen essential medicine supply systems. The education sector receives targeted investments of 30 billion naira for zonal secondary schools and 5.75 billion naira for primary schools rehabilitation, alongside initiatives for inclusive education. The budget also demonstrates a strong commitment to gender equity and youth development, with 2.5 billion naira dedicated to women's economic empowerment and 3 billion for establishment of a youth resource center aimed at capacity building, innovation, and enterprise development. Let's page 6. Furthermore, The budget reflects a comprehensive, people-centered approach to governance with targeted investments across housing, environmental protection, public administration, financial inclusion, and security. The state has earmarked 25 billion naira for interventions in housing schemes to expand access to homes for middle-income families, alongside the rehabilitation of state-owned estates to address urban congestion, improve living conditions, and further stimulate the construction sector with its attendant impact on job creation. Environmental resilience is a top priority with significant provisions for food mitigation and waterway rehabilitation. These interventions, if implemented, will reduce displacement in riverine communities and safeguard vital ecosystems amid rising climate risk. In public administration, the budget commits over 117 billion to pensions, gratuities, and employee benefits, marking a decisive shift towards restoring dignity and welfare in the civil service. This includes a 50 billion naira provision to begin to address the long-standing issues around pensions and gratuity arrears owed to retirees in Rivers State. Notably, the implementation of the Employee Compensation Act and a new group life insurance scheme reflects global best practices in labor protection. The state also plans to inject 20 billion naira into the recapitalization of the Rivers State Microfinance Bank, aimed at empowering micro, small, medium, and enterprises and underserved populations with improved access to affordable credit. This measure supports inclusive economic growth and grassroots development